A young heiress, Clara Langley, vanishes from a locked room in her grand estate, leaving only a broken window and a cryptic note. The truth lies in the shadow. Hercule Poirot, the world's cleverest detective, takes the case, chasing chalk arrow, hidden papers, a secret trapdoor that point to a dark family secret. As suspects lie and another girl disappears, Poirot uncovers a smuggling ring, a murder, and a shocking betrayal. Clara's alive, her plan daring, but the real shadow killer in the house will stop at nothing. Can Poirot's sharp mind catch them before it's too late? Dive into a mystery where every clue counts. Chapter 1. The Urgent Summons. Hercule Poirot sat in his cozy London flat, sipping hot cocoa. The fire crackled, casting warm shadows on the walls. His neat mustache twitched as he read a newspaper. It was a quiet evening in June 1925, and Poirot liked quiet evenings. They let his clever brain rest. But quiet evenings never lasted long for the famous detective. A loud knock broke the silence. Poirot frowned. Who would visit so late? He set down his cocoa and opened the door. A young man stood there, panting. His face was pale, and his coat was wrinkled, like he'd run all the way from the train station. Monsieur Poirot, the man gasped. You must come at once. It's a terrible matter at Langley Hall. Poirot's gray eyes sparkled. A mystery. His brain woke up, ready to work. Calm yourself, monsieur, he said, his voice smooth. Who are you, and what is this trouble? The man gulped air. I'm Arthur Hastings, sir. Captain Hastings. Your old friend. Don't you remember me? Poirot smiled. Of course he remembered Hastings, his loyal friend who loved adventure but wasn't always quick to solve puzzles. Mon ami, Poirot said, clapping Hastings' shoulder. Come in. Sit. Tell me everything. Hastings flopped into a chair, still breathless. It's Clara Langley, the heiress. She's gone. Vanished last night during a dinner party at her family's estate. No one knows where she is. The police are stumped, and the family's in a panic. They begged me to fetch you. Poirot's mustache quivered. A vanishing heiress. This was no ordinary case. Tell me more, he said, leaning forward. Where is this Langley Hall? Who was at the dinner party? Hastings wiped his brow. Langley Hall is a big old mansion in Kent, about an hour from London by train. The Langley family is rich, very rich. Clara is the only child, set to inherit everything. Last night, they had a small party. Clara, her fiancé, Edward Marsh, her Aunt Lady Margaret Langley, a doctor friend named Simon Hale, and a maid named Beatrice who served dinner. Around 9 o'clock, Clara went to her study to fetch a book. The door was locked from the inside. When she didn't come back, they broke the door down. She was gone. No sign of her, just a broken window. Poirot's eyes narrowed. A locked room. A broken window. Interesting. Was there blood? Footprints? No blood, Hastings said. No footprints either. The window's high up, too high to jump without a ladder, and none was found. It's like she turned into air. Poirot rubbed his hands. His brain was already spinning, sorting clues like puzzle pieces. And the people, tell me about them. Hastings leaned closer. Clara's young, about 22. Pretty smart, but quiet. Some say she's been sad since her father died last year. Edward Marsh, her fiancé, is a tall fellow, charming but a bit slick. He's not rich, so people whisper he's after Clara's money. Lady Margaret, the aunt, runs the house like a queen. She's strict, always watching Clara. Dr. Simon Hale is a family friend, a bit mysterious. He's got a limp and doesn't talk much. Beatrice, the maid, is young and nervous. She was the last to see Clara before she went to the study. Poirot nodded, storing every detail. And the family. Why do they call for me? They trust you, Hastings said. Clara's father met you once, years ago, and said you were the best detective in the world. Lady Margaret insisted we get you. She's afraid it's a kidnapping or worse. Poirot stood. Very well, mon ami. We leave at once. Pack your bag. A train to Kent awaits. Hastings blinked. Now, it's nearly 10 o'clock. Crime does not sleep, Poirot said, grabbing his coat and hat. "And neither will Hercule Poirot until this mystery is solved." The train to Kent chugged through the dark countryside. Poirot sat by the window, staring at the moonlit fields. Hastings dozed across from him, snoring softly. Poirot's mind raced. A locked room, a broken window, a missing girl. It was a puzzle that teased his little gray cells, his brain's nickname for itself. He loved puzzles, but he knew they could hide danger. Clara might be hurt, or worse. He had to be fast. The train stopped at a small station. A driver waited with a car, his face grim. "Monsieur Poirot, Captain Hastings. I'm from Langley Hall. Hurry, please." The car sped through narrow roads, past shadowy trees. Soon, a huge mansion loomed ahead. Langley Hall was grand but eerie, with tall towers and ivy-covered walls. Lights glowed in the windows, but the house felt heavy, like it held secrets. The driver led them to the front door. A tall woman in a black dress greeted them. Her face was stern, her eyes sharp. "Monsieur Poirot," she said, her voice cold. "I am Lady Margaret Langley. Thank you for coming." "This is a dark day for our family," Poirot bowed. "Madame, I am at your service. Where is the study? I must see it at once." Lady Margaret's lips tightened. "The police have been there all day. They found nothing." "Then it is good I am not the police," Poirot said with a small smile. "My methods are different." She led them through a grand hall, filled with paintings and statues. Hastings gaped at the wealth. Poirot noticed everything: the polished floors, the ticking clock, the faint smell of lavender. Details mattered. They always did. They reached a heavy wooden door, its lock broken. "This is the study," Lady Margaret said. "Clara locked it last night. We heard her turn the key. When she didn't answer, Edward broke the door down." Poirot stepped inside. The room was large, with tall bookshelves and a desk covered in papers. A fireplace glowed faintly. One window was shattered, glass sparkling on the floor. Poirot knelt, studying the shards. "Curious," he murmured. "The glass is inside, not outside. A window broken from within." Hastings scratched his head. "What's that mean, Poirot?" "It means, mon ami, that things are not as they seem." Poirot stood, his eyes scanning the room. He touched the desk, the chair, the rug. He paused at a small chalk mark near the fireplace, barely visible. "And this? What is this?" Lady Margaret frowned. "Chalk? I don't know. Clara liked to sketch sometimes." Poirot said nothing, but his brain filed the mark away. He moved to the window, peering out. The ground was far below, with no ladder or rope. "No one could climb this," he said. Yet the window was broken. "Why?" A man's voice interrupted. "Monsieur Poirot, I'm Edward Marsh." A tall, handsome man stood in the doorway, his face pale. "Clara's fiancé. I can't believe she's gone." Poirot studied him. Edward's eyes were red. But was it grief or guilt? "Monsieur Marsh," Poirot said, "tell me exactly what happened." Edward ran a hand through his hair. "We were at dinner. Clara said she needed a book from the study. She left, and we heard the door lock. After 10 minutes, she didn't come back. I knocked, but no answer. I broke the door down, and she was gone. Just gone." Poirot nodded. "And you, monsieur, where were you before she left?" "In the dining room," Edward said quickly. "With everyone else?" "Everyone?" Poirot asked, his voice soft but sharp. Edward hesitated. "Well, I stepped out for a moment. To the garden. I needed air." Poirot's eyes gleamed. "Air. Very well. I will speak to you again." Another figure appeared, a man with a limp, carrying a medical bag. "Monsieur Poirot, I'm Dr. Simon Hale." His voice was quiet, his face hard to read. "I hope you can help us." Poirot bowed slightly. "Doctor, I will try." "Were you also at dinner?" "Yes," Dr. Hale said. "I saw nothing strange until Clara didn't return." Poirot noted the doctor's calm tone. "To calm, perhaps." "Thank you, monsieur. I will have more questions soon." Lady Margaret spoke. "There's one more person. Beatrice, the maid. She's resting." "She's been hysterical since last night." "Resting?" Poirot asked. I must speak to her. She's fragile, Lady Margaret said. Tomorrow, perhaps. Poirot's smile was polite but firm. Madame, tomorrow may be too late. I will see her now. Lady Margaret sighed and sent a servant to fetch Beatrice. Soon, a young girl entered, her eyes wide with fear. She curtsied clumsily. "Sir," she stammered. "Mademoiselle Beatrice," Poirot said kindly. "Do not be afraid. What did you see last night?" Beatrice twisted her apron. "I served dinner." Miss Clara was quiet. She went to the study. "I saw her lock the door. Then, nothing. She was gone." Poirot watched her closely. Nothing else. No strange sounds. No visitors. Beatrice shook her head, but her hands trembled. "No, sir, I swear." Poirot nodded. "Thank you, mademoiselle. You may go." As Beatrice left, Hastings whispered, "She's hiding something." "Poirot, perhaps," Poirot said. "Or perhaps she is only scared. Fear makes the truth hide." Lady Margaret crossed her arms. "What now, Monsieur Poirot?" "Now," Poirot said, "I think I use my little gray cells. This room, this house, they hold secrets. I will find them." He turned to the broken window, staring into the night. The mystery of Clara Langley was deep, but Hercule Poirot loved deep mysteries. He would solve this one, no matter how shocking the truth might be. Chapter 2. The scene of the disappearance. Hercule Poirot stood in the study of Langley Hall, his sharp eyes darting over every detail. The room felt heavy with secrets, like a locked box waiting for the right key. The broken window let in a chilly breeze, and the faint glow of the fireplace cast long shadows. Captain Hastings hovered near the door, rubbing his hands to stay warm. "It's a puzzle, Poirot," he said. Clara locked the door, then poof, gone. How does someone vanish like that? Poirot's mustache twitched. "Mon ami, no one vanishes. They hide, or they are hidden. The truth is here, in this room." He tapped his forehead. "My little gray cells will find it." The study was grand, with tall shelves stuffed with books, a wide desk covered in papers, and a thick rug underfoot. The broken window was high, too high to climb without help. Glass shards glittered on the floor, catching the firelight. Poirot knelt, peering at them. "Strange," he murmured. "The glass is inside, as if the window was smashed from this room. Yet no one heard a crash." Hastings frowned. "Maybe Clara broke it to escape." Poirot shook his head. "Escape? To where? The ground is far below. No ladder, no rope. And why break a window when she had a key to the door?" He stood, brushing his hands. "No, Hastings, this window is a trick." Hastings scratched his chin. "A trick? You mean someone staged it?" "Perhaps," Poirot said. He moved to the desk, his fingers gliding over the papers. There were letters, bills, and a small notebook with Clara's neat handwriting. Poirot flipped through it. Most pages were list books. She wanted dresses to order, but one page had a single line: "The truth lies in the shadow." The words sent a shiver down Hastings' spine. "What's that mean, Poirot?" he asked, leaning over. Poirot's eyes gleamed. "A clue, mon ami. Clara left this for a reason. But what is the shadow?" He tucked the notebook into his pocket and turned to the fireplace. The chalk mark he'd seen earlier, faint and small, was still there, near the rug's edge. It looked like part of an arrow, pointing toward a portrait on the wall. The portrait showed a stern man with Clara's eyes, her father. Poirot guessed. "Interesting," Poirot said, stepping closer. He ran his fingers along the portrait's frame. It was heavy, nailed tight. No hidden door behind it, but something felt off. He tapped the wall. Solid, yet his brain buzzed. The chalk, the note, the portrait, they were connected. Footsteps broke his thoughts. Lady Margaret entered, her black dress rustling. "Monsieur Poirot," she said, her voice sharp. "Have you found anything?" The police poked around for hours and saw nothing. Poirot smiled politely. "Madame, the police see with their eyes. I see with my mind. This room tells a story, but it speaks softly." He pointed to the chalk mark. "Do you know this mark, lady?" Margaret squinted. "Chalk. Clara was always sketching silly things. It means nothing." Poirot nodded. but his eyes said he didn't believe her. And the window, who could break it without sound? Lady Margaret's lips thinned. I don't know. Perhaps a thief. Clara's jewelry is valuable. Poirot glanced at the desk. A pearl necklace lay there, untouched. Yet no jewels are missing. Curious Nan. Before she could answer, Edward Marsh burst in, his face flushed. Monsieur Poirot, any news? I can't stand this waiting. His voice shook, but his eyes darted to the desk, then away. Poirot watched him closely. Monsieur Marsh, you were in the garden when Clara vanished. What did you see? Edward shifted. Nothing. It was dark. I just needed air. Dinner was stuffy. Stuffy, Poirot repeated softly. And you heard nothing. No scream. Glass breaking. Nothing, Edward said, too quickly. He wiped his hands on his trousers. Poirot's smile was small but sharp. Very well. I will speak to you later. Dr. Simon Hale limped into the room, his medical bag in hand. Monsieur Poirot, he said, his voice low. I checked the grounds again. No footprints, no signs of a struggle. It's as if Clara flew away. Poirot's eyes flicked to the doctor's bag. Monsieur le Docteur, you carry your bag everywhere. Why? Dr. Hale blinked. Habit. I'm a doctor. I might need it. For what? Poirot asked. A sedative, perhaps. To calm a nervous maid. Or something else. Dr. Hale's face stayed calm, but his fingers tightened on the bag. I don't know what you mean, Poirot waved a hand. No matter. For now. He turned back to the room, his brain sorting clues like cards. The glass, the chalk, the note, the nervous fiancé, the stern aunt, the quiet Dr. Each was a piece of the puzzle. Hastings coughed. Poirot, what about the locked door? Clara locked it herself. We all heard the click. Poirot nodded. The lock is important. Show me. Lady Margaret pointed to the broken lock on the door. Edward smashed it when we got worried. Clara was inside, we thought. But she wasn't. Poirot examined the lock. It was heavy, old, but not forced. The key was still in it, on the inside. So, he said, Clara locks the door. No one enters. Yet she is gone, and the key remains. Hastings' eyes widened. You think someone else had a key? Poirot shrugged. Or no key was needed. We must think beyond the obvious. He paced the room, his polished shoes clicking on the floor. He stopped at the rug, noticing a slight bump. He lifted it, nothing but wood beneath. But the bump was odd, like something had been dragged. What's this? Poirot asked, pointing. Lady Margaret frowned. The rug's old. It bunches up sometimes. Poirot knelt, feeling the wood. Smooth, no scratches. But his brain whispered, something moved here. He stood, brushing his knees. Madame, who else has access to this room? Only Clara, Lady Margaret said. It was her father's study. She loved it here. And the maid, Beatrice, Poirot asked. She cleans it, Lady Margaret admitted. But she's just a servant. Poirot's eyes sparkled. Just a servant. No one is just anything, madame. He turned to Hastings. Mon ami, fetch Beatrice. I must speak to her again. Hastings hurried out, returning with the maid. Beatrice looked paler than before, her hands twisting her apron. Sir, she whispered, Mademoiselle. Poirot said kindly, you cleaned this room. Did you see anything strange? A mark, a paper, a shadow? Beatrice's eyes flicked to the portrait, then down. No, sir, I just dusted. Miss Clara was always kind. She didn't like me touching her papers. Poirot nodded, watching her tremble. And the chalk mark. Did you see it before? Beatrice shook her head. I don't know, sir. Maybe Miss Clara drew it. Poirot smiled. Thank you, mademoiselle. You may go. As she left, he whispered to Hastings. She knows more than she says. Fear holds her tongue. Hastings nodded. She looked at the portrait. Poirot, think it's a clue. Everything is a clue, Poirot said. He turned to the others. Madame, messieurs, I must think alone. Leave me with the room. Lady Margaret hesitated. You'll find nothing the police didn't. Poirot's smile was polite but firm. The police do not have Hercule Poirot. They left, and Poirot paced the study, his brain humming. He touched the chalk mark again, then the portrait, He checked the bookshelves, the desk drawers, the fireplace. In the fireplace, he found a tiny scrap of burned paper, barely readable. It had one word: shadow. His heart raced. Clara's note wasn't random. She was pointing him somewhere. He stepped to the window, staring at the glass. The shards were sharp, uneven. He picked one up, careful not to cut himself. It was thick, like it was meant to break quietly. A clever trick, he murmured. But why? Hastings returned, yawning. Any luck, Poirot? Luck, Poirot chuckled. I do not need luck. I have method. He held up the burned paper. This, mon ami, is a piece of the truth. Clara left us a trail. Hastings gaped. You think she's alive? Poirot's eyes twinkled. I think many things. But I know this. The shadow hides the answer. Tomorrow, we dig deeper. He looked out the window into the dark. The mystery of Clara Langley was growing, and Poirot's little gray cells were ready for the chase. Chapter 3. The suspects assembled. The morning sun crept through the tall windows of Langley Hall, but the grand dining room felt cold. Hercule Poirot sat at the long oak table, his hands folded neatly. His sharp gray eyes watched the others like a cat watching mice. Captain Hastings stood by the fireplace, fidgeting. The mystery of Clara Langley's disappearance hung heavy, and Poirot was ready to dig deeper. Mon ami Poirot said to Hastings, his voice soft but firm, bring the suspects. It is time to hear their stories. Hastings nodded and left, his boots clicking on the polished floor. Poirot sipped his coffee, his mustache twitching. His little gray cells, his clever brain were buzzing. The locked study, the broken window, the chalk mark, the burned paper with shadow on it. Clara's note about truth. In the shadow, they were puzzle pieces. Today, he would find more. The door opened, and Lady Margaret Langley swept in. Her black dress made her look like a stern shadow. Her face was tight, her eyes sharp. Monsieur Poirot, she said, sitting stiffly, I hope this won't take long. I have a house to run. Poirot smiled politely. Madame, a missing heiress, is worth a little time. Nan, tell me about Clara. Was she happy? Lady Margaret's lips thinned. Clara was quiet. She missed her father. He died last year. You know, she was to marry Edward soon. She had no reason to run off. Poirot leaned forward. Run off? You think she left on her own? Lady Margaret hesitated. I don't know. She was headstrong. But that locked room, it makes no sense. Poirot nodded, watching her hands. They stayed still, but her knuckles were white. And you, madame, where were you when Clara went to the study? In the dining room, she said quickly. With everyone. We were talking about the wedding. Poirot's eyes gleamed. Everyone, even Monsieur Marsh. Lady Margaret paused. Edward stepped out for a moment. He came back just before Clara left. Poirot filed that away. Thank you, madame. Please stay. Edward Marsh entered next, his tall frame tense. His handsome face was pale, and his eyes darted to Lady Margaret, then away. Monsieur Poirot, he said, sitting. Any news about Clara? Poirot tilted his head. Not yet, monsieur, but you can help. Tell me about your walk in the garden. Edward swallowed. It was nothing. I needed air. The room was hot. I was gone 5 minutes. Maybe 5 minutes, Poirot repeated. Long enough to see something. Hear something. Edward shook his head. It was dark, quiet. I came back, and Clara was gone. Poirot's smile was small. And your love for Clara, is it strong? Edward's face reddened. Of course, we were to marry. I'd never hurt her. Lady Margaret snorted softly. Poirot glanced at her, then back to Edward. Some say you need money, monsieur. Clara's fortune is large. Edward stood, fists clenched. That's a lie. I love Clara, not her money, said Monsieur Poirot, said calmly. Anger hides the truth. Stay. Dr. Simon Hale limped in, his medical bag in hand. His face was calm, but his eyes were wary. Monsieur Poirot, he said, sitting slowly. I hope I can help. Poirot studied him. Monsieur le Docteur, you are a family friend. Did Clara trust you? Dr. Hale nodded. I think so. I treated her father before he died. Clara was kind, but private. Poirot pointed to the bag. Your bag, doctor. What is in it? Dr. Hale blinked. Medical tools, bandages, medicines. Why a sedative, perhaps? Poirot asked, his voice soft but sharp, to calm someone or silence them. Doctor. Hale's jaw tightened. I'm a doctor, not a criminal. Poirot waved a hand. Of course. Where were you when Clara vanished? In the dining room, Dr. Hale said. I stayed the whole time. Lady Margaret nodded. He did. I saw him. Poirot's eyes narrowed. Very well. Stay, doctor. Hastings returned with Beatrice, the maid. She looked small and scared, her apron twisted in her hands. Her eyes were red from crying. Sir, she stammered, curtsying. Mademoiselle Beatrice, Poirot said kindly. Sit. Do not fear. Tell me about Clara. Beatrice sat, her voice shaky. Miss Clara was good to me. She gave me books to read. She was sad sometimes, but she smiled. For me. Poirot leaned closer. Sad. Why? Beatrice bit her lip. Her father's death. And she argued with Lady Margaret sometimes. Lady Margaret's face hardened. Nonsense. Clara was stubborn. That's all. Poirot raised a hand. Let her speak. Beatrice. What arguments? Beatrice shrank back. About money. Miss Clara wanted to give some away. Lady Margaret said no. Poirot nodded. And last night, what did you see? Beatrice's hand shook. I served dinner. Miss Clara went to the study. I heard the lock click. Then nothing. Poirot watched her eyes. They flicked to Edward. Then down. Nothing else. No strangers. No sounds. No, sir, she whispered. I swear, Poirot smiled. Thank you, mademoiselle. Stay. He stood, pacing the room. His polished shoes clicked softly. The suspects watched him, tense. Hastings leaned against the wall, confused but excited. Poirot stopped, facing them. Mies Amos, he said. Clara is gone, but her story lives. You each hold a piece of it. Let us find the truth. He turned to Lady Margaret. Madame, you control the money. Did Clara's plans worry you? Lady Margaret's eyes flashed. I protected her. She was young, foolish. Charity is fine, but not half the fortune. Poirot nodded, then faced Edward. Monsieur Marsh, you left the dining room. Why really? Edward's face twitched. I told you, heir. That's all. Poirot's eyes bored into him. Heir, or a meeting, with Clara, perhaps. Edward paled. No, I didn't see her. Poirot turned to Dr. Hale. Doctor, you treated Clara's father. Was his death natural? Dr. Hale stiffened. He had a weak heart. It failed. Ask anyone. Poirot's mustache quivered. I will. And you, Beatrice. You saw Clara lock the door. Did she seem scared? Beatrice shook her head. No, sir. Just quiet. Like always. Poirot paced again, his brain sorting their words. Lies hid in truth. He knew. The chalk mark, the shadow, the broken window. They pointed somewhere. But where? Hastings coughed. Poirot, what about the note? The truth lies in the shadow. Maybe it's a code. Poirot smiled. Perhaps, mon ami. But codes need keys. He stopped, an idea sparking. Madame, did Clara's father have a safe? Lady Margaret frowned. Yes, in the study. But it's empty. The police checked. Poirot's eyes twinkled. Empty. We shall see. He turned to the group. Mies Amos, you may go. But stay close. Hercule Poirot is not fooled by shadows. They left, muttering. Edward glanced at Beatrice, who looked away. Dr. Hale gripped his bag. Lady Margaret swept out like a storm. Hastings grinned. You rattled them, Poirot. Think one's guilty. Poirot sighed. All have secrets, mon ami. Lady Margaret guards money. Edward hides his walk. Dr. Hale is too calm. Beatrice is too quiet. But guilt, that waits. He walked to the study, Hastings following. The room was the same cold, silent, full of clues. Poirot knelt by the chalk mark again. It was faint, but clear. An arrow to the portrait. He stood, staring at the stern face of Clara's father. The shadow, he murmured. Is it you? He checked the safe behind the desk. Locked, as Lady Margaret said. He didn't have the key, but he noticed dust on the handle, untouched. For weeks, empty, he said. Or a lie. Hastings scratched his head. Poirot, what if Clara ran away? She was sad, arguing with her aunt. Maybe she staged it. Poirot nodded. A good thought, Hastings. But the locked door, the broken window. They are not simple tricks. He picked up a glass shard from the floor. It was thick, odd. This glass. It bothers me. It broke, but no sound. Why? He moved to the fireplace, finding another tiny ash speck. No words this time, but it smelled of paper. Clara burned something, he said. She left a trail. But to what? Hastings yawned. It's early, Poirot. Let's rest. Your brain needs a nap. Poirot chuckled. My brain never naps, mon ami. But you may. Go. I will stay. Hastings left, and Poirot sat at the desk, staring at Clara's notebook. The truth lies in the shadow, he read aloud. His fingers traced the words. Clara was clever, he thought. Like him. She wanted someone to find her truth. He would dot outside. The wind whispered through the trees. Langley Hall held its secrets tight, but her Poirot was tighter. The chase was on. Chapter 4. The Cryptic Note. Hercule stood in the quiet study of Langley Hall, his fingers tracing the words in Clara Langley's notebook. The truth lies in the shadow. The morning light filtered through the broken window, glinting on the glass shards still scattered on the floor. Captain Hastings leaned against the desk, yawning. Poirot, he said, you've been staring at that note for ages. What's it mean? Poirot's mustache twitched. Mon ami, this note is Clara's voice. She speaks to us, but in a riddle. The shadow hides her truth, and we must find it. His little gray cells, his sharp brain, hummed with ideas. The chalk mark, the burned paper, the portrait of Clara's father. The art glasset was a puzzle, and Poirot loved puzzles. He tucked the notebook into his pocket and turned to the chalk mark by the fireplace. It was faint, an arrow pointing to the portrait. Hastings, he said, this mark is no accident. Clara drew it. But why? Hastings shrugged. Maybe she was doodling. Poirot's eyes sparkled. Doodling, Nan, mon ami. Clara was clever. Every mark, every word, has purpose. He stepped to the portrait, studying the stern face of Clara's father. The eyes seemed to watch him, hiding secrets. He tapped the frame again. Solid. No hidden safe or door. Yet the arrow pointed here. A knock interrupted. Beatrice, the maid, peeked in, her face pale. Sir, Lady Margaret says, breakfast is ready. Poirot smiled kindly. Mademoiselle, a moment. You cleaned this room. Did Clara ever talk about shadows? Beatrice's hands twisted her apron. No, sir. She liked the study. Said it felt safe. But she was sad lately. Sad? Poirot asked, his voice soft. Why? Beatrice glanced at the door, then whispered, she missed her father. And she found papers. Old ones. She wouldn't tell me more. Poirot nodded. Papers. Merci, mademoiselle. Go now. As Beatrice left, Hastings frowned. Papers. Think they're tied to the note. Perhaps, Poirot said. He moved to the desk, sifting through Clara's letters and bills. Nothing about shadows or papers, but in a drawer, he found a folded note, crumpled like it was meant to be thrown away. It read, ask Simon about the company. Simon Dr. Hale, Poirot thought. His heart quickened. Another clue. Hastings, he said, we must learn about Clara's father, his business, his death. Come. They left the study, heading to the dining room. The air was thick with tension. Lady Margaret sat at the table's head, her face stern. Edward Marsh poked at his eggs, his eyes red. Dr. Simon Hale sipped tea, his medical bag by his chair. Beatrice served toast, her hands shaky. Poirot sat, his smile polite. Bon matin, Mies Amos. A fine day to find truth. Nan. Lady Margaret glared. Monsieur Poirot, the police are useless. They think Clara was kidnapped, but no ransom note came. What do you think, Poirot? Spread jam on his toast. Madame, I think Clara left us signs. Like this. He held up the notebook, reading, "The truth lies in the shadow." "What does it mean to you?" Lady Margaret's fork paused. "Nothing." Clara was fanciful. She wrote odd things. Edward looked up. A shadow. Maybe she meant the garden. "It's dark there at night." Poirot's eyes flicked to him. "The garden, monsieur, where you walked." Edward flushed. "I didn't mean nigh. Just thought." Dr. Hale cleared his throat. "Clara was upset lately. She asked me about her father's business. I told her. I knew little." Poirot's head tilted. "Little. Yet she wrote this." He showed the crumpled note. "Ask Simon about the company." Dr. Hale's cup clinked on its saucer. "She asked once. I said her father owned a trading company. It closed after he died. That's all." Poirot watched his calm face. To calm. "And this company ducked to her. Was it honest?" Dr. Hale's eyes narrowed. "I don't know. I was his doctor, not his partner." Lady Margaret slammed her napkin down. "Enough. My brother's business was clean. Clara had no right to dig into it." Poirot raised a brow. "No right. It was her inheritance. Nan." Lady Margaret's lips tightened. "She was young. I managed the money for her." Poirot nodded, his brain sorting their words. Money, secrets, shadows. He turned to Beatrice, who hovered near the door. "Mademoiselle, did Clara ever speak of a curse?" Beatrice gasped, dropping a spoon. "A curse, sir." Hastings jumped in. "I heard whispers in the village yesterday. They say Langley Hall is cursed. Clara's father died young, and now she's gone." Lady Margaret scoffed. "Village gossip. There's no curse." Poirot's eyes gleamed. "Yet gossip often hides truth." "Madame, tell me about this curse." Lady Margaret sighed. "It's nonsense. Years ago, my grandfather built this house, with a fortune from trade. Some said he cheated people, and his wealth was cursed. When my brother died, the rumors grew. Now Clara's gone, and they talk again." Poirot leaned back. "A cursed fortune. Interesting. Did Clara believe it?" "She was curious," Lady Margaret admitted. "She asked about her father's money. I told her to leave it alone." Edward spoke up. "Clara did mention a curse once." She laughed, but she seemed worried. Poirot's mustache quivered. "Worried? And you, monsieur? Did you comfort her?" Edward nodded. "I tried. I loved her." Dr. Hale coughed. "Clara was healthy. No reason to run off or worse." Poirot's gaze shifted to him. "Healthy, oui. But her father was not." "A weak heart, you said." Dr. Hale nodded. "It failed suddenly. Sad, but natural." Poirot smiled thinly. "Natural. We shall see." He stood, clapping his hands. "Mies, Amos, I must walk. The air clears the mind. Hastings, come." They stepped into the garden, the sun warm but the air heavy. The lawn stretched wide, with tall hedges casting long shadows. Hastings kicked a pebble. "Poirot, this cursed business think, it's real." Poirot chuckled. "A curse, Nan, but fear of one. It makes people act strangely." He stopped by a hedge, near the study's window. No footprints, no ladder. Marks the ground was hard, untouched. "Clara did not climb down," he said. "The window is a lie." Hastings frowned. "Then, how'd she vanish?" Poirot's eyes scanned the house. "She didn't. Not yet." He walked to the village, Hastings trailing. The small town was quiet, with stone cottages and a pub. Inside the pub, old men whispered, eyeing the strangers. Poirot bought tea and listened. "Langley Hall's cursed," a barman said, wiping glasses. "Old man Langley made his gold in shady deals. His son died young. Now the girl's gone. Mark my words, it's the curse." Poirot sipped his tea. "This shady business, what was it?" The barman shrugged. "Trading ships. Some say smuggling. No proof, mind you." Poirot nodded, leaving coins. Back at the hall, he found Beatrice in the kitchen, peeling potatoes. "Mademoiselle," he said, "you heard the curse stories. Did Clara believe them?" Beatrice's knife paused. "She asked about them. Said her father's papers might prove the truth. She was looking for them." Poirot's heart raced. "Papers where?" Beatrice shook her head. "I don't know, sir. She kept them secret." Poirot thanked her and returned to the study. He searched the desk again, finding a locked drawer. He jimmied it open with a paperclip. Inside was a single page, torn from a ledger. It listed payments to S.H. Simon Hale from Langley Trading Co. The amounts were huge. Hastings, Poirot called, waving the paper. A clue. Clara found her father's secrets. This company was not clean. Hastings gaped. Dr. Hale, think he's involved? Poirot's eyes twinkled. I think many things, but this S.H. is a shadow we must chase. That evening, Poirot gathered the suspects in the dining room. He held the ledger page. Ms. Amos. Clara found truth in her father's business. Payments to S.H. Who is this? Dr. Hale paled. Not me. I never took money from Langley. Lady Margaret stood. This is absurd. My brother's business was honest. Edward frowned. Clara never told me about this. Beatrice whimpered, hiding her face. Poirot watched them all. Lies swirled like smoke. The shadow grows, he said. But I see through it. He left them arguing, his brain spinning. Clara's note, the chalk, the ledger they pointed to a secret bigger than a curse. Was Clara alive, hiding, or was she silenced? Poirot stared at the portrait in the study, its eyes cold. You know, he whispered, but I will know too. Outside, the night was dark, the hall silent. The mystery deepened, but Poirot's gray cells were sharp. The truth was close. Chapter 5. The alibi puzzle. Hercule Poirot stood in the grand dining room of Langley Hall, his sharp eyes scanning the faces of the suspects. The morning light cast long shadows, but Poirot was hunting a different kind of shadow, the one Clara Langley's note spoke of. The truth lies in the shadow. His little gray cells, his clever brain, buzzed with questions. The chalk mark, the broken window, the burned paper, the ledger page with payments to S.H. They were pieces of a puzzle. Today, he would test the alibis to find which piece didn't fit. Captain Hastings sat nearby, sipping tea, his face eager but confused. Poirot, he said, you've got that look. What's next? Poirot's mustache twitched. Mon ami, alibis are like clocks. They seem to tick perfectly, but one wrong gear breaks the whole machine. We will find the broken gear. He clapped his hands. Ms. Amos, sit. We talk. Lady Margaret Langley, Edward Marsh, Dr. Simon Hale, and Beatrice the maid took their places at the table. The air was thick, like a storm waiting to break. Lady Margaret's face was stern, her black dress stiff. Edward's hands fidgeted, his eyes darting. Dr. Hale gripped his medical bag, his limp making his chair creak. Beatrice looked pale, her apron twisted tight. Poirot began, his voice smooth. Clara vanished from a locked study. No one entered, yet she is gone. Let us revisit the night. Madame, he turned to Lady Margaret. You were in this room. Tell me every moment. Lady Margaret's lips tightened. We ate dinner. Clara was quiet. She said she needed a book and went to the study. We heard the lock click. After 10 minutes, Edward knocked. No answer. He broke the door. She was gone. Poirot nodded. And you stayed here the whole time? Yes, she said, her eyes hard. With Dr. Hale and Beatrice. Poirot turned to Dr. Hale. Doctor, you agree? Dr. Hale nodded, his face calm. I was here. I didn't move. Poirot's eyes flicked to his bag. And your bag, monsieur? Always with you? Dr. Hale's fingers tightened. Yes, it's my work. Poirot smiled thinly. Of course. He faced Edward. Monsieur Marsh, you left the dining room. For air, you said. Tell me again. Edward swallowed, his face pale. I went to the garden. 5 minutes. I came back when Clara left for the study. Poirot leaned forward. 5 minutes. Yet the garden is far. Did you see anyone? No, Edward said quickly. It was dark. Dark, Poirot repeated. Yet a gardener saw a man near the study window before Clara vanished. Was it you? Edward's eyes widened. No, I was by the hedges, not the window. Poirot's mustache quivered. Hedges, we will check. He turned to Beatrice. Mademoiselle, you served dinner. Did you see Monsieur Marsh leave? Beatrice's hands shook. Yes, sir. He went out. I don't know where. Poirot watched her closely. And Clara, did she seem scared? Beatrice bit her lip. No, sir, just quiet. She smiled at me before she left. Poirot nodded, his brain sorting their words. Lady Margaret and Dr. Hale claimed they stayed put. Edward admitted leaving. Beatrice saw him go. But the gardener's story mentioned by a village gossip Hastings overheard put a man near the study. Was it Edward or someone else? He stood, pacing. Mies, Amos, your stories wobble like a bad table. Someone is not truthful. He stopped, staring at Dr. Hale's bag. Doctor, may I see inside? Dr. Hale frowned. Why, it's just medical tools. Poirot's smile was sharp. Humor me, Monsieur. Dr. Hale hesitated, then opened the bag. Bandages, scissors, bottles. Poirot's eyes locked on a small vial labeled chloral hydrate. A sedative, he said, to calm or to silence. Dr. Hale's face stayed steady. For patients, not for crime. Poirot nodded, but his brain filed the vial away. He turned to Beatrice. Mademoiselle, you said Clara found papers. Did she show you any? Beatrice's eyes flicked to Lady Margaret, then down. No, sir. She just said they were important. Lady Margaret stood. This is nonsense. Clara was meddling in things she didn't understand. Poirot's eyes gleamed. Meddling in her father's business. Or your control, madame. Lady Margaret's face reddened. I protected her. She was foolish. Edward jumped up. Stop it. Clara wasn't foolish. She loved her father. She wanted answers. Poirot raised a hand. Enough. The truth hides, but not for long. He turned to Beatrice, his voice soft. Mademoiselle, one last question. Did Clara ever mention a shadow? Beatrice froze, her eyes wide. A shadow, sir. She said once. The study had shadows that moved. I thought she was joking. Poirot's heart raced. Moved. When? Days ago, Beatrice whispered. She looked scared. Before Poirot could ask more, Beatrice swayed, her face white. She clutched the table, then crumpled to the floor. Dr. Hale rushed to her, opening his bag. She's fainted, he said, checking her pulse. Too much strain. Poirot knelt beside her, his eyes narrow. Strain, or fear. He sniffed the air near Beatrice's face. A faint sweet smell chloral hydrate. His brain sparked. Doctor, move her to a sofa. Quickly. Dr. Hale and Edward carried Beatrice to a nearby couch. Poirot watched closely, noting Dr. Hale's quick hands. Was the doctor helping? Or hiding something? Beatrice stirred, her eyes fluttering. Miss Clara, she mumbled, then fell silent. Dot Hastings, whispered Poirot. Think she was drugged. Poirot's voice was low. Perhaps mon ami, or perhaps fear closed her lips. He stood, facing the others. Mies, Amos, someone knows more than they say. Clara's truth is close, and I will find it. Lady Margaret crossed her arms. This is absurd. Beatrice is weak, that's all. Edward looked worried. Is she okay? She's just a kid. Dr. Hale packed his bag. She recovered. She needs rest. Poirot's smile was polite, but firm. Rest, we. But the truth does not rest. He turned to Hastings. Come, we return to the study. They left the dining room, the suspect's eyes following. In the study, Poirot paced, his brain worry. The alibis didn't match. Edward was near the study, despite his story. Dr. Hale's sedative was suspicious. Beatrice's collapse felt wrong. And Lady Margaret's anger hid something guilt. Fear. Poirot stopped by the portrait of Clara's father. The chalk arrow still pointed to it. He tapped the frame, then the wall. Solid. The shadow, he murmured. Clara, where do you point me? Hastings scratched his head. Poirot, what about the ledger? Those payments to S.H. could be Simon Hale. Poirot nodded. We, or another S.H., we must learn more. He checked the desk again, finding a small key hidden under a blotter. It was tiny, not for the safe. A new clue, he said, holding it up. For what lock? Hastings grinned. Maybe a secret drawer. Poirot tried the desk drawers. None fit. He scanned the room, his eyes landing on a small wooden box on a shelf. He inserted the key. It clicked. Inside was a single paper letter from Clara's father to S.H., dated a year before his death. It read, "Keep the secret safe. The company must not be exposed." Poirot's eyes sparkled. "Mon amie Clara found this. It's why she vanished." Hastings gaped. "You think she's hiding? To protect the secret? Or to reveal it?" Poirot said. He tucked the letter away. "We must find these papers," she sought. "They hold the shadow." They returned to the dining room. Beatrice was awake, sipping water, her face still pale. Poirot knelt beside her. "Mademoiselle, be brave. Did Clara hide papers?" Beatrice's eyes filled with tears. She gave me a book, said to keep it safe. It's in my room." Poirot's heart leaped. "Fetch it, vite." Beatrice hurried off, returning with a thin book of poetry collection. Poirot flipped through it. A folded paper slipped out. It was a list of dates and payments, marked Langley Trading Co. and S.H. The amounts matched the ledger. "Page Clara's proof," Poirot said. "She knew her father's business was dirty. But who is S.H.?" Hastings frowned. "Dr. Hale, or someone else." Poirot's brain raced. "We need more. The shadow is not yet clear." He turned to Beatrice. "Mademoiselle, you did well. Rest now." As Beatrice left, Dr. Hale approached. "Monsieur Poirot, I swear I'm not S.H. I was just a family doctor." Poirot's smile was sharp. "Then, help me, doctor. What was Langley Trading?" Dr. Hale hesitated. "I heard rumors. Smuggling, maybe. But I stayed out of it." Poirot nodded. "We will see." He left the dining room, Hastings following. The hall was quiet, but Poirot felt eyes watching. Someone was scared. Someone was lying in the garden. Poirot checked the study window again. No marks, no ladder. The glass was still inside. "A trick," he said. "Clara did not leave this way." Hastings sighed. "Then where is she, Poirot?" Poirot stared at the house, its shadows long in the fading light. "Close, mon ami. The shadow hides her, but Hercule Poirot sees all." The mystery grew darker, but his gray cells were sharp. The truth was near, and he would not stop. Chapter 6. The shadow of the past. Hercule Poirot paced the study of Langley Hall, his polished shoes clicking softly on the wooden floor. The afternoon light filtered through the broken window, casting jagged shadows. His little gray cells, his sharp brain whirred like a busy machine. Clara Langley's note, "The truth lies in the shadow," echoed in his mind. The chalk arrow, the burned paper, the ledger page with payments to S.H., the letter in the poetry book, they all pointed to a secret buried in the past. But whose past? And where was Clara? Captain Hastings sat on the desk, flipping through the poetry book Beatrice had given them. "Poirot," he said, "this list of payments is trouble. Clara was digging into her father's business. Think it got her in danger." Poirot's mustache twitched. "Oui, mon ami. Clara found a truth. Someone once hidden. The shadow is not just a word, it is a person, a secret, a lie." He held up the letter from Clara's father to S.H. "Keep the secret safe. The company must not be exposed." His eyes gleamed. Langley Trading was not clean. Smuggling, perhaps. Clara knew. Hastings frowned. "And S.H., Dr. Hale, perhaps," Poirot said. "Or another. We must dig deeper." He glanced at the portrait of Clara's father, its stern eyes watching. The chalk arrow pointed there, but the frame hid nothing. Or did it? A scream shattered the quiet. Hastings jumped, dropping the book. Poirot spun toward the door. "Viet mon ami," he said, hurrying out. The scream came from the kitchen. They ran through the grand hall, past paintings and ticking clocks, and burst into the kitchen. Beatrice, the maid, was gone. A tray of cups lay smashed on the floor, tea pooling like blood. A cook stood trembling, pointing at the back door. "She was here," the cook cried. Then she screamed and ran outside. "I didn't see where." Poirot's heart raced. Another disappearance. He stepped outside, scanning the garden. The grass was neat, no footprints. The hedges loomed, their shadows dark. "Beatrice," he called. No answer. Hastings paled. "Poirot, first Clara, now Beatrice. This is bad." Poirot's eyes narrowed. Not bad, mon ami. Revealing. Beatrice knew something. Someone scared her or silenced her. He sniffed the air, catching a faint sweet smell, like the chloral hydrate from Dr. Hale's bag. His brain sparked. Hastings, find the others. Now. Hastings rushed off, returning with Lady Margaret, Edward Marsh, and Dr. Simon Hale. They crowded into the kitchen, faces tense. Lady Margaret's voice was sharp. Monsieur Poirot, what's happened? Where's Beatrice? Poirot faced him, his voice calm but firm. Mademoiselle Beatrice is gone. Moments ago, she screamed and vanished, like Clara. Tell me, where were you? Lady Margaret crossed her arms. In my room, writing letters. Edward rubbed his neck. I was in the library, reading. Dr. Hale gripped his medical bag. I was checking my notes in the parlor. Poirot's eyes flicked to the bag. Doctor, your sedative. Is it still there? Dr. Hale frowned, but opened the bag. The chloral hydrate vial was there, half empty. I haven't used it, he said. Not since Beatrice fainted. Poirot's mustache quivered. Yet I smell it here. Curious. Nan. He turned to the cook. Madame, what did Beatrice say before she screamed? The cook wrung her hands. She was upset, mumbling about Miss Clara and papers. Then she looked out the door, screamed, and ran. Poirot nodded. Papers like the ones Clara hid. He faced the suspects. Mies, Amos, Beatrice knew Clara's secret. Someone did not like that. Speak, or the truth will speak for you. Lady Margaret's face reddened. This is absurd. Beatrice is flighty. She probably ran to the village. Edward shook his head. She wouldn't. She was scared stiff. Dr. Hale stayed quiet, his eyes on the floor. Poirot watched him. Doctor, you treated Clara's father. Did he ever mention smuggling? Dr. Hale's jaw tightened. No, I told you, I was his doctor, not his friend. Poirot smiled thinly. Yet Clara asked you about the company. Why? Dr. Hale shrugged. She was curious. I said Eric Langley ran a trading business. That's all. Poirot paced, his brain sorting clues. Beatrice's disappearance linked to Clara's. Both knew about the papers. The shadow was growing clearer, but not clear enough. He turned to Hastings. Mon ami, search Beatrice's room. Look for anything, a note, a book, a clue. Hastings nodded and hurried off. Poirot led the others to the dining room. Sit, he said. We wait. Lady Margaret glared. This is my house. Monsieur Poirot, I won't be ordered about. Poirot's eyes were sharp. Madame, 2 women are missing your house. Hides lies. Sit, she sat, fuming. Edward fidgeted, his hands sweaty. Dr. Hale stared at his bag, silent. Poirot watched them, his brain like a hawk, circling prey. Someone here knew the truth. Hastings returned, holding a small diary. Found this under Beatrice's mattress, he said, breathless. It's hers. Poirot took it, flipping through. Beatrice's writing was messy, full of fear. One entry read, Miss Clara gave me the book. Said it's dangerous. Someone watches the study. Shadows move. Another SH knows. I heard him talking. I'm scared. Poirot's heart leaped. SH again. Beatrice heard something. He faced Dr. Hale. Doctor, what did you say that scared her? Dr. Hale's face stayed calm. Nothing. I don't talk to maids. Poirot held up the diary. Yet she heard you. About what? Dr. Hale's eyes flickered. I spoke to a colleague on the phone. About old cases. Nothing to do with Clara. Poirot's smile was sharp. We will see. He turned to Edward. Monsieur Marsh, you were near the study the night Clara vanished. Did you see Beatrice? Edward shook his head. No, I was in the garden. By the hedges, Poirot said. Or by the window. Edward paled. I told you. The hedges. Lady Margaret cut in. Leave him alone, Monsieur Poirot. Edward's no criminal. Poirot raised a brow. No. Then why does he lie? He paced, holding the diary. Beatrice saw shadows. Clara saw them too. The study is the key. We returned there. He led the group to the study, the air heavy with suspicion. The chalk arrow still pointed to the portrait. Poirot stared at it, then at the fireplace. The shadow he murmured. He knelt, checking the hearth. A tiny ash pile hid another burned scrap. He picked it up, squinting. It read, "Safe, midnight." "Clara planned something," Poirot said. "She went to the study for a reason. Not a book a secret." Hastings gasped. "You think she opened the safe?" Poirot nodded. "Perhaps. But it was empty. He glanced at Lady Margaret, who looked away. Edward spoke up. "Clara never mentioned a safe to me." Dr. Hale nodded. "Nor me." Poirot's eyes twinkled. Yet someone knew. Beatrice heard them. He turned to the portrait, tapping the frame. "The shadow lies here. But how?" He checked the safe again. Still locked. Dusty. He tried the small key from the desk. It didn't fit. "Another lock," he said. "Clara hid something else." Hastings scratched his head. "Poirot, what if Beatrice ran off? Like Clara?" Poirot shook his head. "Nan, mon ami. Beatrice was taken. Or she fled from fear. Her diary proves she knew too much." He faced the suspects. "Mies, Amos, someone in this house is a shadow. Speak, or I will find you." Lady Margaret stood. "I've had enough. I'm calling the police." Poirot's voice was calm but cold. "The police see nothing. Poirot sees all. Stay, madame." She sat, glaring. Edward wiped his brow. Dr. Hale clutched his bag. The room felt like a trap closing. Poirot returned to the kitchen, searching for clues. A scuff mark near the back door caught his eye fresh, like a shoe dragged. "Beatrice struggled," he said. "She was taken outside." Hastings followed him into the garden. The hedges were thick, the shadows deep. Poirot knelt, finding a torn piece of apron caught on a branch. "Beatrice," he said. "She came this way." They searched the garden, but the trail stopped at the lawn. No tracks, no clues. Poirot's brain raced. Clara and Beatrice, both gone, both linked to the papers. The shadow is moving fast. Back in the study, Poirot sat at the desk, rereading Beatrice's diary. "S.H. knows," she wrote. "Shadows move." He looked at the portrait, its eyes cold. "You saw it all," he whispered, "but I will see more." The day faded, the hall dark. Poirot's gray cells burned bright. The truth was close, hidden in the past, and he would chase it down. Chapter 7. The hidden clue. Hercule Poirot stood in the study of Langley Hall, his sharp eyes fixed on the portrait of Clara Langley's father. The late afternoon sun filtered through the broken window, casting long shadows across the room. His little gray cells, his clever brain worked like a clock, ticking through clues. The chalk arrow pointing to the portrait. The note saying, "The truth lies in the shadow." The ledger payments to S.H. The burned paper with safe. Midnight. And now Beatrice's disappearance after Clara's. The puzzle was growing. But Poirot felt the truth was close. Captain Hastings leaned against the desk, rubbing his eyes. "Poirot," he said, "we've searched this room a dozen times. The safe's empty, the window's a trick, and Beatrice is gone. What's left?" Poirot's mustache twitched. "Mon ami, what's left is what we do not see. The shadow hides. The truth and the shadow is here." He tapped the portrait's frame, its stern eyes staring back. The chalk arrow on the floor, faint but clear, pointed straight to it. "Clara left this mark. She wanted us to look here." Hastings frowned. "But you checked the portrait. No secret door, no safe behind it." Poirot's eyes gleamed. But I was hasty. The portrait is the shadow. Let us look again." He ran his fingers along the frame, feeling every inch. The wood was old, heavy, nailed tight. He pressed harder, and a faint click sounded. A small panel slid open at the frame's base, revealing a hidden compartment. Inside was a single keybrake, heavy, not like the small key from the desk. Hastings gasped. "Poirot, a secret hiding spot." Poirot held up the key, his heart racing. "Clara's work, mon ami. This fits the safe." He moved to the safe behind the desk, its dusty handle untouched for weeks, or so Lady Margaret claimed. He inserted the key. It turned with a soft clunk. The safe door swung open. Inside was nothing. Empty shelves, bare metal. Poirot's brow furrowed. "Empty, non. This cannot be." He tapped the safe's back wall. A hollow sound echoed. He pressed, and a false panel popped open, revealing a thin folder. Inside were papers, letters, receipts, and a contract for Langley Trading Company, all marked with SH and sums of money. One letter, in Clara's handwriting, read, "Father hid the truth. SH must pay." Poirot's eyes sparkled. Clara found proof. Her father's business was dirty as smuggling, cheating. She planned to expose it. Hastings gaped. Expose who? Hurry. Dr. Halle. Perhaps, Poirot said. Or another. These papers are dangerous. He tucked the folder under his arm and turned to the portrait. You guarded well, monsieur. But Hercule Poirot sees through shadows. A shout came from the hall. Monsieur Poirot. It was Edward Marsh, his voice shaky. Poirot and Hastings hurried out, finding Edward in the dining room, pale and pacing. Lady Margaret stood by the fireplace, her face like stone. Dr. Simon Hale sat with his medical bag, his limp legs stretched out. What is it, monsieur? Poirot asked Edward. Edward ran a hand through his hair. I saw someone, in the garden, by the hedges. A figure, moving fast. I think it was Beatrice. Poirot's eyes narrowed. Beatrice. Or another shadow. He turned to Lady Margaret. Madame, has anyone searched the grounds? The police did, she said sharply. They found nothing. Beatrice probably ran off. Poirot's voice was calm, but firm. Ran off, like Clara. Nan, Madame, too many vanishings. He faced Dr. Hale. Doctor, your sedative. Beatrice's collapse smelled of chloral hydrate. Now she is gone. Explain. Dr. Hale's face stayed steady. I told you, I didn't use it. Someone else could have. Poirot's mustache quivered. Someone else. Convenient. He held up the folder. Clara found these. Proof of smuggling in Langley Trading. Payments to SH. Who is this? Dr. Hale paled. Not me. I was just a doctor. Lady Margaret stepped forward. Those are lies. My brother's business was clean. Edward's eyes widened. Clara never told me about smuggling. Poirot watched them, his brain sorting their fear. Mise miss. Someone lies. Clara knew. Beatrice knew. And now both are gone. The shadow moves quickly. Hastings coughed. Poirot, what about the contract? Does it name S.H.? Poirot flipped through the papers. The contract listed Simon Hale as a consultant, paid large sums. Doctor, he said, your name is here. Explain. Dr. Hale's hands shook. I advised on shipments, medicine, supplies. I didn't know they were smuggling. Poirot's smile was sharp. Yet you took the money. Clara found out. Did she confront you? No. Dr. Hale said. She asked questions, but I told her nothing. Lady Margaret glared. This is nonsense. Clara was meddling, stirring up old stories. Poirot turned to her. Old stories. Madame, like the curse, or your brother's death. Lady Margaret's face reddened. His heart failed. Ask Dr. Hale. Dr. Hale nodded. It was natural. I signed the certificate. Poirot's eyes gleamed. Natural. Yet Clara doubted. It's why, he paced, holding the folder. Clara planned something at midnight. She went to the study, locked the door, and vanished. Beatrice saw shadows, heard secrets, and now she is gone. The safe was her goal. Edward frowned, but the safe's empty now. Poirot nodded. Because someone took the papers. But Clara hid copies. He tapped the folder. These. A crash came from the hall. Hastings jumped. What was that? Poirot hurried out, the others following. A vase lay shattered on the floor, near the kitchen door. Footprints small, like Beatrice's led outside. Poirot knelt, sniffing. That sweet smell again. Chloral hydrate, he said. Beatrice was here. Taken, not run. Lady Margaret gasped. Taken. By who? Poirot's voice was cold. By the shadow, madame. He followed the footprints to the garden, where they faded at the lawn. A scrap of paper lay caught in a bush. He picked it up. It read, help, they know. In Beatrice's handwriting. Hastings paled. Poirot, she's in danger. Oui, Poirot said. She knows the shadow's face. He turned to the suspects. Mies, Amos, No one leaves this house. The truth is near, and I will trap it. Dr. Hale clutched his bag. I'm no kidnapper. Check my bag again. Poirot waved a hand. I will doctor later. He faced Edward. Monsieur, you saw a figure. Describe it. Edward hesitated. It was dark. A cloak, maybe. Moving fast. Poirot's eyes narrowed. A cloak, like a shadow. He returned to the study, his brain racing. The portrait, the safe, the papers all pointed to Clara's plan. Beatrice's note confirmed someone was scared. But who? He checked the portrait again, feeling the frame. Another click. A tiny slot opened, holding a single photograph. It showed Clara's father with a man Dr. Hale near. A ship, the back read, Langley Trading, 1923. Keep it quiet. Poirot's heart leaped. Proof. Dr. Hale was deep in the business. He tucked the photo away, turning to Hastings. Mon ami, the shadow is S.H., but is it Hale, or another? Hastings scratched his head. Poirot. What if Clara staged it? To catch someone. Poirot nodded. A good thought. Clara was clever. She locked the door, broke the window, left clues. But Beatrice's fear is real. We must find her. They searched the house, checking Beatrice's room, the attic, the cellar. Nothing. Poirot returned to the study, staring at the portrait. You know, he whispered. But you hide. He sat at the desk, rereading the papers. The contract named Dr. Hale, but another name appeared. Sarah Henley. S.H. a woman. Poirot's brain sparked. Another S.H. The shadow shifts. He called Hastings. Mon ami, find out about Sarah Henley. Ask the village. Hastings nodded, rushing off. Poirot stayed, his eyes on the portrait. The chalk arrow, the hidden key, the papers they were. Clara's trail. Beatrice followed it and vanished. The shadow was close, but Poirot was closer. Night fell, the hall dark. Poirot's gray cells burned. The truth was hiding, but he would shine a light. Chapter 8. The Midnight Revelation. Hercule Poirot sat in the study of Langley Hall, his sharp eyes glinting in the dim lamplight. The clock on the mantel ticked toward midnight, its steady rhythm echoing the pulse of his little gray cells' clever brain. The clues swirled in his mind. Clara Langley's note. The truth lies in the shadow. The chalk arrow pointing to her father's portrait. The hidden key. The papers proving Langley Trading's smuggling. The photograph linking Dr. Simon Haley to the shady business. And Beatrice's disappearance after her diary revealed she knew too much. The burned scrap, saying safe. Midnight nagged at him. Tonight, he would shake the truth loose. Captain Hastings burst in, breathless from his village trip. Poirot, I asked about Sarah Henley. She was a secretary for Langley Trading years ago. Left after Clara's father died. No one's seen her since. Poirot's mustache twitched. Sarah Henley, S.H.E. Another shadow. He tapped the photograph of Clara's father and Dr. Hale by a ship. This S.H. may be the key, mon ami. But tonight, we hunt the shadow here. He stood, adjusting his neat coat. Gather the others. Midnight is the hour. Hastings frowned. What's the plan, Poirot? Poirot's eyes sparkled. A trap, mon ami. I will say I know Clara's fate. The guilty will flinch, and we will see. He clutched a folder of papers from the safe. Its secrets heavy. VIT. Go. Hastings hurried off, and Poirot paced the study. The portrait of Clara's father stared down, its eyes cold. The chalk arrow still pointed to it, a silent clue. You know, Poirot whispered, but I know more. He checked the safe again, its false panel empty now. Clara had planned something at midnight, but what? Was she alive, hiding, or silenced forever? The dining room door creaked as Lady Margaret Langley, Edward Marsh, and Dr. Simon Hale entered, their faces tense. Lady Margaret's black dress rustled like a storm. Monsieur Poirot, she said sharply, this midnight nonsense is absurd. What do you want? Edward fidgeted, his hands sweaty. Any news about Clara, or Beatrice? Dr. Hale gripped his medical bag, his limp making him lean. This is a waste of time. Poirot raised a hand, his voice calm but firm. Mies Amos, sit. The hour is right. Clara's note said the truth lies in the shadow. Tonight, I shine a light. He held up the folder. Clara found proof of smuggling and Langley trading. Payments to S.H. Sierra, Henley, perhaps. Or you, Dr. Hale. Dr. Hale's face paled. I told you, I only advised on shipments. Poirot's eyes bored into him. Yet your name is on the contract. And this photograph he showed, the picture of Hale with Clara's father, puts you on a smuggling ship. Lady Margaret stood. Lies. My brother's business was honest. Poirot turned to her. Was it, Madame? Clara doubted. She found papers, hid them, and vanished. Beatrice knew, and now she is gone. The shadow hides a crime. Edward's voice shook. Clara never told me about smuggling. I swear. Poirot's smile was sharp. Yet you were near the study, monsieur, not the hedges. A gardener saw you. Edward's eyes widened. I was just walking. Poirot stepped closer, his voice low. Walking, or watching. I know where Clara is. The room froze. Lady Margaret's hands clenched. Dr. Hale's bag slipped slightly. Edward's face turned white. You know, he whispered. We, Poirot said, bluffing. Clara is alive, hiding in this house. She left clues: the note, the arrow, the papers. She planned to meet someone at midnight. Who was it? Edward stood, shaking. You're wrong. She's gone. He bolted for the door, shoving Hastings aside. Stop him, Poirot shouted. Hastings tackled Edward, pinning him to the floor. Edward struggled, his breath ragged. Let me go. I didn't hurt her. Poirot knelt beside him. Then why run? Monsieur, what do you hide? Edward's eyes filled with tears. I took money from the safe. Before Clara vanished. She caught me. We fought. She said she'd forgive me if I helped her. Poirot's heart raced. Helped her how? Edward gulped. She said she had proof about her father's business. She was going to confront someone. She told me to wait in the garden, to watch. I saw nothing. Then she was gone. Poirot's eyes narrowed. Confront who? Edward shook his head. She didn't say. She locked the study door, said she'd be safe. I swear I didn't hurt her. Lady Margaret gasped. You stole from us. Dr. Hale stayed silent, his face unreadable. Poirot stood, his brain spinning. Edward's confession was a piece, but not the whole puzzle. Monsieur Marsh, you stay. We are not done. He turned to the others. Mies, Amos, Clara planned a trap. The burned paper said safe. Midnight. She went to the study to open it. Someone stopped her. Lady Margaret's voice was cold. You accuse us. Poirot's smile was thin. I accuse no one yet, but the shadow is here. He faced Dr. Hale. Doctor, your sedative. Beatrice smelled of it when she collapsed, and now, when she vanished, Dr. Hale's jaw tightened. I didn't touch her. Check my bag. Poirot waved a hand. I will, later. He paced, holding the folder. Clara found the truth about her father's smuggling. Sarah Henley, S.H., was part of it. Doctor, did you know her? Dr. Hale hesitated. She was a secretary. I met her once. She left years ago. Poirot's eyes gleamed. Yet Clara found her name. And Beatrice heard you speak of secrets. Dr. Hale stood. I'm no criminal. I was a doctor, nothing more. Poirot nodded. We shall see. He turned to Hastings. Mon ami, check the garden again. Look for Beatrice's trail. Hastings rushed out. Poirot sat, staring at the suspects. Edward slumped, guilty but broken. Lady Margaret's face was like stone. Dr. Hale gripped his bag, his calm cracking. The clock struck midnight, its chime heavy. Hastings returned, holding a torn cloth. Found this by the hedges, he said. It's Beatrice's apron, with a button caught in it. A man's button. Poirot took it, his brain sparking. The button was silver, engraved with a tiny S. S.H., he murmured. Sarah, Henley, or Simon Hale, or another. Lady Margaret frowned. That's my brother's button. From his old coat. Poirot's eyes widened. Your brother, Clara's father. He turned to the portrait in his mind, its stern eyes. The shadow grows. He returned to the study, the others trailing. The chalk arrow still pointed to the portrait. Poirot checked the hidden compartment. Again, empty, but a faint scratch marked the wood, like something was dragged. Clara moved something, he said, before she vanished. Hastings scratched his head. Poirot, what if Clara's still here, hiding? Poirot nodded. Possible, mon ami. She staged the window, locked the door, left clues. But Beatrice's fear was real. Someone hunts them. He searched the study, checking shelves, the fireplace, the rug under the rug. He found a faint outline of trapdoor. He pressed, but it didn't budge. Locked, he said. Another key. Edward spoke, his voice low. Clara mentioned a hiding spot once. Under the floor. She said it was her father's secret. Poirot's heart leaped. Where, monsieur? Edward pointed to the rug. There. She never showed me, but she said it was safe. Poirot lifted the rug, revealing a small brass lock in the floor. The key from the desk fit perfectly. He turned it, and a trapdoor creaked open, revealing a narrow space. Inside was a single paper, a note in Clara's handwriting. The shadow is S.H. They killed father. Poirot's breath caught. Clara believed her father was murdered. The smuggling was the motive. Lady Margaret gasped. Murdered. Impossible. Dr. Hale's face was white. I told you. His heart failed. Poirot's eyes were sharp. Yet Clara doubted. And Beatrice knew. He faced Edward. You helped her. Did you know this? Edward shook his head. No, she only said she needed proof. Poirot clutched the note. The shadow is S.H. Clara's trap failed, but mine will not. He turned to the group. Mies, Amos. No one leaves. Tomorrow, I find Beatrice and Clara. The hall was dark, the air heavy. Poirot's gray cells burned. The shadow was close, and he would catch it. Chapter 9. The Mastermind, Unmasked. Hercule Poirot stood in the grand dining room of Langley Hall. The flickering candlelight casting eerie shadows on the walls. It was just past midnight, and the air was thick with tension. His little gray cells' sharp brain were ablaze, piecing together the puzzle of Clara Langley's disappearance. The clues had led him here. The note saying the truth lies in the shadow. The chalk arrow pointing to the portrait. The hidden key. The papers proving Langley Trading's smuggling. The photograph of Dr. Simon Hale. Edward Marsh's confession of theft. Beatrice's diary. And the trapdoor note accusing S.H. of murdering Clara's father. Beatrice's vanishing act had tightened the noose. Tonight, Poirot would unmask the shadow dot. Captain Hastings stood by the door, his face eager, but nervous. Poirot, he whispered, you said Clara's alive. Are you sure? Poirot's mustache twitched. Mon ami, I am Hercule Poirot. I am always sure. He clapped his hands. Mies, Amos. Sit. The truth comes now. Lady Margaret Langley, Edward Marsh, and Dr. Simon Hale took their seats, their eyes wary. Lady Margaret's black dressmaid. Her looked like a storm cloud. Edward's hands shook, his theft weighing heavy. Dr. Hale clutched his medical bag, his limp legs stiff. The absence of Beatrice hung like a ghost. Poirot paced, holding the folder of papers from the safe. Clara Langley vanished from a locked study. A broken window, a chalk arrow, a note about shadows, they were her trail. Beatrice followed it, and now she is gone. But I know the truth. He stopped, his eyes sharp. Clara is alive. She staged her disappearance to catch a killer. Lady Margaret gasped. Alive. Impossible. Edward's jaw dropped. Clara, where? Dr. Hale's face stayed calm, but his fingers tightened. You have proof, Monsieur Poirot. Poirot's smile was sharp. Oui, docteur. Proof in the shadows. He held up the trapdoor note. The shadow is S.H. They killed father. Clara believed her father was murdered. The smuggling in Langley Trading was the motive. S.H. was the key. Dr. Hale stood. I'm not S.H. I was just a doctor. Poirot waved a hand. Sit, doctor. You are not S.H. He turned to Lady Margaret. But you know who is. Madame, lady. Margaret's face hardened. This is nonsense. My brother died of a weak heart. Poirot's eyes gleamed. Did he? Clara found papers proof of smuggling. Payments to S.H., not Simon Hale. But Sarah Henley, who is she? Lady Margaret's lips thinned. A secretary. Long gone, Poirot nodded. Gone, oui, but not forgotten. He held up Beatrice's diary. Beatrice heard secrets. She wrote of shadows moving, of Shetch knowing. She was scared, and then she vanished, smelling of chloral hydrate from Dr. Hale's bag. Dr. Hale paled. I didn't drug her. I know, Poirot said. You are a pawn, not a king. He faced Edward. Monsieur Marsh, you stole from the safe. Clara caught you. She asked for help. Why? Edward's voice broke. She said she'd expose someone. She needed me to watch the garden. I saw nothing. Poirot nodded. Because the danger was inside. He turned to the portrait in his mind. The chalk arrow clear. The shadow is the portrait. Clara pointed us to her father's truth. But the real shadow is here. A soft creak came from the hall. All heads turned. Clara Langley stepped into the room, her face pale but fierce. Behind her stood Beatrice, trembling but alive. The room erupted. Clara, Edward cried, standing up. Lady Margaret's face drained of color. You're alive. Dr. Hale's bag fell to the floor. How? Poirot raised a hand, his voice calm. Silence. Mies, Amos. Mademoiselle Clara, speak. Clara's eyes burned. I faked my disappearance. I found father's papers proof. He smuggled goods through Langley Trading. He wanted to stop, but someone killed him. I knew they'd come for me next. Poirot nodded. So you locked the study, broke the window, and hid. How? Clara pointed to the study. A hidden panel under the rug. Father showed it to me years ago. I slipped out, left clues, a note, the chalk, the papers. Beatrice helped me. She hid me in the attic. Beatrice nodded, her voice shaky. Miss Clara said we had to catch them. I was scared, but I helped. Poirot's mustache quivered, and the window, the glass inside. Clara smiled faintly. I broke it with a muffled hammer. I wanted it to look like a kidnapping. I needed time to gather proof. Hastings gaped. Poirot, you knew. Poirot chuckled. I suspected, mon ami. The clues were too neat. Clara was clever, like me. He turned to Clara, who was S.H. Clara's eyes locked on Lady Margaret. Sarah Henley was Aunt Margaret's maiden name. She ran the smuggling with father. When he wanted out, she poisoned him. Lady Margaret stood, her face twisting. Lies. I'm Margaret Langley. Poirot held up a paper from the folder. Marriage certificate. Sarah Henley married Eric Langley. You, madame, are S.H. Clara. Found this. You killed her father too. Keep the smuggling secret. Lady Margaret laughed, cold and harsh. You have no proof. Poirot's voice was steel. I have Clara's papers, the ledger, the contract, the payments to S.H. and Beatrice's diary. She heard you threaten Clara days ago. Beatrice nodded. I heard her say, stop digging, or you'll end like your father. Clara stepped forward. I confronted you, Aunt Margaret. You denied it, but I knew. I hid to trap you. Lady Margaret's eyes darted to the door. Poirot blocked her path. Madame, you drugged Beatrice with chloral hydrate, stolen from Dr. Hale's bag. You dragged her to the garden, but she escaped to Clara. Lady Margaret sneered. You're mad. I'm no murderer. Poirot held up the silver button from Beatrice's apron. Your brother's coat, you said. But you wore it that night, hiding in the shadows. Clara's note in the trapdoor sealed your fate. Clara's voice was steady. You poisoned father with his own medicine, doctored by Dr. Hale. You made it look natural. Double quotes. Dr. Hale gasped. I didn't know. I prescribed it, but Poirot waved a hand. You are innocent, doctor, of murder, but not of smuggling. The photograph proves you knew. Dr. Hale slumped, silent. Edward stood, tears in his eyes. Clara, I'm sorry. I stole, but I loved you. Clara's face softened. I know, Edward. I forgive you. Poirot turned to Lady Margaret. Madame, you are the shadow. You killed Eric Langley. You tried to silence Clara. You drugged Beatrice. The game is over. Lady Margaret's face twisted. She lunged for the door, but Hastings grabbed her arm. Not so fast, ma'am. Poirot clapped his hands. Call the police, mon ami. The truth is out. Clara hugged Beatrice, both trembling. Thank you, Monsieur Poirot. You saw my clues. Poirot bowed. Mademoiselle, your mind is sharp. Hercule Poirot admires it. The police arrived, taking Lady Margaret away. She glared, silent now. Dr. Hale faced questions for his smuggling role, but his innocence in murder was clear. Edward confessed to theft, his fate uncertain but lighter. Poirot sat with Hastings, sipping tea. A fine case, mon ami. The shadow was deep, but we found the light. Hastings grinned. You knew all along, didn't you? Poirot's eyes twinkled. Not all, mon ami, but enough. The gray cells never fail. The night was quiet, Langley Hall at peace. The shadow was gone, and Poirot's work was done. Chapter 10. The satisfying conclusion. The sun rose over Langley Hall, its golden light chasing shadows from the grand estate. Hercule Poirot stood in the dining room, his neat suit crisp, his mustache perfectly curled, his little gray cells, his sharp brain hummed with satisfaction. The mystery of Clara Langley's disappearance was solved, the shadow unmasked as Lady Margaret, and the truth laid bare. Clara and Beatrice were safe, and justice was near. But Poirot's work was not done. He had to explain the puzzle, tying every clue into a neat bow. Though Captain Hastings sat at the long oak table, sipping tea, his face beaming. Poirot, he said, you did it again. Clara's alive, Lady Margaret's caught, and the mystery's solved. But how did you know? Poirot's eyes twinkled. Mon ami, the gray cells see what others miss. Clara's clues were clear, like stars in a dark sky. Let us gather the others and finish this tale. Hastings hurried off, returning with Clara, Langley, Beatrice, the maid, Edward Marsh, and Dr. Simon Hale. The police had taken Lady Margaret away, her cold glare lingering in memory. Clara stood tall, her face calm but strong. Beatrice clung to her side, still pale but relieved. Edward's eyes were red, his theft weighing heavy. Dr. Hale held his medical bag, his role in the smuggling exposed, but his innocence in murder clear. Poirot clapped his hands. Mies, Amos, sit. The shadow is gone, but you must hear how Hercule Poirot found it. He paced, his voice smooth, his hands gesturing like a storyteller. Clara Langley vanished from a locked study, leaving a broken window, a chalk arrow, and a note. The truth lies in the shadow. These were not accidents. They were her plan. Clara nodded, her voice steady. I knew my father was murdered. I found his papers proof of smuggling in Langley trading. Aunt Margaret was behind it. Poirot smiled. Oui, mademoiselle, you are clever. Let me tell the story. He held up the note from Clara's notebook. This was your first clue. The shadow meant your father's secret, hidden in his business. You found papers in the safe, locked with a key, hidden in the portrait's frame. He turned to the group. The chalk arrow pointed to the portrait. I found the key in a secret panel. The safe held papers, ledgers, contracts, payments to SH, but it was empty when the police checked. Why? Because Lady Margaret took the originals, leaving Clara's copies. Hastings gasped. She stole them. We, Poirot said. Lady Margaret, once Sarah Henley, ran the smuggling with her brother, Eric Langley. When he wanted to stop, she poisoned him, using medicine from Dr. Hale's bag, doctored to kill. It looked natural. Dr. Hale's face fell. I swear, I didn't know. I prescribed for his heart, but she must have tampered with it. Poirot nodded. You were a pawn, doctor. The photograph of you with Eric by a smuggling ship proved you knew the business, but not the murder. Clara found this and suspected you, so she wrote, ask Simon about the company. Clara spoke up. I wasn't sure who to trust. I had to act. Poirot's mustache twitched. An act you did, mademoiselle. You staged your vanishing. You locked the study, broke the window with a muffled hammer glass inside. Not out. A clever trick. You slipped through a trap door under the rug. A secret your father showed you. Beatrice nodded. Miss Clara told me her plan. I hid the poetry book with the payment list. She said it was dangerous. Poirot held up Beatrice's diary. You wrote of shadows moving, Avesh knowing. You heard Lady Margaret threaten Clara. When you collapsed, drugged with chloral hydrate, I knew it was her. She stole the sedative from Dr. Hale's bag. Dr. Hale shook his head. She was clever. I never suspected. Poirot turned to Edward. Monsieur Marsh, you stole from the safe. Clara caught you, but used you. She asked you to watch the garden, to see if the shadow came. You saw nothing, but you lied about the hedges, fearing blame. Edward's voice broke. I'm sorry, Clara. I was desperate for money, but I loved you. Clara's eyes softened. I know, Edward, you'll face the law, but I forgive you. Poirot paced, holding the trapdoor note. The shadow is S.H. They killed father. This was Clara's final clue. She believed S.H. was Sarah Henley, Lady Margaret. She planned to confront her at midnight, but Lady Margaret acted first, watching the study. Clara nodded. I hid in the attic, waiting for proof. Beatrice brought me food, kept my secret. But Aunt Margaret guessed. She drugged Beatrice, tried to take her away. Beatrice shivered. I woke in the garden, ran to Miss Clara. We hid together. Poirot's eyes gleamed. Lady Margaret was the shadow. The silver button from her brother's coat caught on Beatrice's apron when she dragged her. The burned paper saying safe. Midnight showed Clara's plan. The ledger, the contract, the marriage certificate proved Sarah Henley was Margaret Langley. Hastings grinned. You saw it all, Poirot. But how did you know Clara was alive? Poirot chuckled. The clues were too neat, mon ami. The window, the note, the arrow, they screamed of a plan. Clara was too clever to vanish without purpose. When Beatrice disappeared, smelling of chloral hydrate, I knew the shadow was desperate. My midnight trap made Edward run, revealing his theft, but Lady Margaret's silence betrayed her. Clara stepped forward. Monsieur Poirot, you found my truth. Aunt Margaret killed my father to keep the smuggling money. I wanted justice. Poirot bowed. Mademoiselle, your courage lit the way. The police have the papers. Lady Margaret will pay. Dr. Hale faces charges for smuggling, but not murder. Monsieur Marsh, your theft will be judged, but your heart is true. Edward hung his head. I'll take my punishment. Dr. Hale stood. I was foolish, but not evil. I'll help the police. Clara hugged Beatrice. You were brave, Beatrice. Your family now. Beatrice smiled, tears falling. Thank you, Miss Clara. Poirot turned to the group. The shadow is gone. The portrait hid the truth, your father's secret, Clara. The chalk arrow was your guide. The safe, the trapdoor, the papers led to Sarah Henley. The mystery is solved. Hastings clapped. Brilliant, Poirot. You tied it all together. Poirot's eyes twinkled. The gray cells, mon ami, they never fail. He looked at Clara. Mademoiselle, your legacy is yours. What will you do? Clara's face was firm. I'll sell the company, give the money to charity. No more shadows. Poirot nodded. A fine choice. He turned to Hastings. Come, mon ami. London calls. Our work here is done. They left the dining room, the hall bright with morning light. Clara and Beatrice stood together, free at last. Edward faced his future, humbled. Dr. Hale packed his bag, ready to confess his part. Langley Hall felt lighter, its secrets gone. Outside, Poirot and Hastings walked to the waiting car. The garden was green, the hedges calm. A shocking case, Poirot. Hastings said. Clara fooled us all. Poirot chuckled. She fooled the shadow, mon ami, but not Hercule Poirot. He climbed into the car, his heart content. The puzzle was complete, the truth shining bright as the car rolled away. Poirot looked back at the hall. Adieu, Langley Hall, he said softly. Your shadows are no more.